it's Neva at timeforinvesting.com. Welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. I share tips on real estate, buying, selling, becoming an agent, real estate investor, things like that on my channel. So if that interests you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you're oldie but goodie that comes to my channel on a regular, also welcome back. I love you because you guys help build out this channel so that it keeps growing. And I want to say, go ahead and hit the bell next to the subscription button, because YouTube is doing something different now, where if you hit the bell, that's when you'll get the notification that I've actually uploaded a new video. So I want you guys to know when I do a new upload, so go ahead and hit the bell. So boom, so today I'm talking about, okay, you got your license, you passed the real estate exam, you need to now pick a brokerage. So I literally just had this conversation with a friend of mine. He just passed his test, and so he was going out interviewing with different brokers and, you know, reach out to me with questions, what I suggest and things like that. So I'm going to share that with you today. So boom, so of course the number one thing that came up in our conversation that he was concerned about was the fees. He was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to all these different brokers, and I would say he went to a lot, and most people probably don't even interview with that many, but he went to a lot, and he was like, oh my goodness, the fees are so high. So I don't know if this depends on location or not, but I'm here in Northern Virginia, and that's where he is, and he's like, oh, overall the cap is the amount you need to pay the broker each year. You know, it was like in the 25,000 or so range when he was going out, and he's like, I just thought that was so much money. And that is a lot of money coming out, but what I was explaining to him is you have to really look at what each broker will offer you as far as training, what technology they're using to get you set up and things like that. Like, what are you really going to get out of the cap? One of the things that came up in our conversations that he was saying he noticed, and I agree with him as well, he was saying the brokers that are like a brick and mortar that have a physical offices, their caps are higher than there are brokers now where everything is virtual and they don't actually have a physical office for you to go into. He was like, you know, some of those brokers, you know, the cap in our area could be like, you know, $6,000, $10,000. So it was a big difference with the brick and mortar, and you know, if you're just, everything is in a cloud and it's virtual. So that is also, there's a lot of brokerages that are doing that as well. What I want to stress is I cannot tell you which brokerage fits for you. I'm just going to hit on things that I know people are concerned with, or that you should be concerned and ask questions about when you go to interview with a brokerage. So one of the questions you definitely want to ask is, what is the cap that I need to pay each year? So, and then that way, when you're comparing brokerages, you're comparing apples to apples, because you know how much you have to pay your broker every year is factoring into how much money you'll be able to actually bring home. Okay, so that's number one, is the cap. What I want to add as far as the brick and mortar or virtual, although the caps are much less, I'm with Keller Williams. We have offices all over, so I do a lot of work at my office and my house, but I also do go into the Keller Williams office. We have team meetings and things like that. There's a lot of training there. You can go to training classes there, and then most of all, I meet clients there. So what I mentioned, you know, to him is that I don't use the office a lot, but I do like having the option to have a physical office. Now, of course, you know, we're in 2018. People will go to Starbucks or different places and meet up it's up to you. That's what I was saying. It's up to you what you feel comfortable with. For me, I just think it looks more professional to go into a physical office. Like, you know, if it's like our second or third meeting and we're meeting like at Starbucks or something, then that's different. But I don't know how comfortable or how, like I said, I've never done it to meet a client where our first meeting is not in like the physical office, you know, like a physical office. So, you know, you just have to factor all that in, that if you're gonna go with a brokerage that does not have a physical office, you know, what is your game plan for where you're gonna meet people? And then there are places where you can rent office space per hour and things like that, so you can use those. However, you have to factor in the cost that you're gonna pay when you use their offices. So that's what I'm saying. It may not be as much of a savings if when you need office space, you have to go and like pay one of these companies to use their office. So just, you know, something to think about and to factor into your cost for the year, because sometimes that cap will look so high, but like I said, please look and see everything that is included, because if you go to a company and pay a lower cap, but then you're also paying for office space, remember to factor in how much you're gonna pay to rent office space when you need to meet with clients. Because like I said, I would definitely recommend that at least that first meeting is in an office. Then we talked about brand recognition. Okay, now what we talked about here was, if you're with like a big company, a Century 21, a Keller Williams, a Coldwell Banker, it's more known when people see those signs and things like that. And my husband was here when we were talking, and he overheard the conversation, and my husband made the comment that he would not choose or go with an agent that was with a brokerage he had never heard of. So be mindful of that, because really what I was stressing and pointing out though is that as an agent, you really have to market yourself and not the company, because you may change brokerages. Like a lot of agents do change brokers over the span of their career. So you don't want to be pushing the brand of the brokerage, and then when you change brokerages, you know, you're trying to now push a new broker. So what I'm saying is to more make sure you're marketing yourself, so that even if you change brokers, people are still going to bring or carry their business with you, because it's you, the real estate agent, that they have bought into, not just the brand brokerage. But I do understand, and we must be mindful though, that some people are going to think like my husband thinks. I've never heard of that brokerage, I don't want to bring my business there. Some people do think that way. Some people, it just has a bigger impact when they see brand recognition. It just has a bigger impact. Like right now, Keller Williams is #1. So of course, when people see that, it does, you know, there are people that, yes, I'm a great real estate agent, but there are people that love, like, okay, she's a great agent and she's with Keller Williams. Keller Williams is #1 right now. So just be mindful of that as well, for the brand recognition of the company. That, you know, is this a brand that's known in the area that you will be working? And if it's not, I'm not saying not to go with them, but just be mindful that some people are going to think that way. But like I said, either way, whether the brokerage is well known or not, be mindful of marketing yourself and your skill as the agent, as opposed to pushing the brokerage name anyway. Training, because after you take that test, that's like when you're out in the real world. It's time for you to get out and talk to people and get leads and things like that. And you just starting out, I mean, man, when I look back, I didn't know, you know, I didn't know. There was so much stuff I needed to know that I didn't know. So I really think starting out that when you're also picking a brokerage is that, for instance, the brokerage that he went with, he was saying like they assigned someone and that person would work alongside with him and walk him through like his first transaction from beginning to end. And I said, oh, I really think that's so important, because starting out after you take that test, that's when you really need to learn like how to interact, how to get clients, how to interact with clients, and you know, there's just so much to learn that I really think you need that starting out, as opposed to just, you know, learning yourself the hard way. It's just going to take you so much longer to get started and set up and things like that. So for me, when I started, as soon as I came on as an agent, I was linked up with a mentor, and the way it was I think we did like my first 5 transactions together, and then he would get 25% of whatever my, you know, commission split was on that deal. But to me, that was more than worth it, because I mean, he was doing everything. He was going on appointments with me. You know, he walked me through from beginning to end each transaction. So I find that to be definitely worth the 25%, because 25% of a deal, you know, is something, as opposed to having 0 and you're just going and spinning your wheels and you're not actually closing deals. So I think that's very valuable. So starting out, I would say, look, you know, definitely in these interviews, say, hey, you know, I want to be, you know, like partner with someone when I come on board that's going to work with me through my first couple deals. Because I'm telling you, I know sometimes people don't want to share or split their commission check, but I mean, 25% of a $10,000 commission check is way more than you just sitting there and you're not closing anything. And that's probably what happens why people fail. To keep doing it months and months and months and months, no traction. I mean, how long can you keep doing that and you're not making any money? So it's better to pay that, to me, pay that 25% and get up to speed and working faster, as opposed to trying to do everything yourself when you start out and, you know, you're months in, no closed deals. Okay, like I said, it's not everything, but these are the top things that came up in our conversation. So the other thing was technology. Because like I said, you want to look at what's included in these fees you're paying, and so you can look at what technologies and platforms are going to be available for you. What is the brokerage using? What tools are going to be offered? Because that's the thing too. A lot of times, I have a friend, he only pays, he's an agent too, he only pays $4.99 a month, right? But he doesn't get anything at all besides just saying, hey, I work under this brokerage name. So what you have to do if you go with a brokerage like that, though, all the tools and things that you're going to need for your business, you're going to pay for that. So that's what I'm saying is, get an Excel spreadsheet and go through all these tools and different resources that you're going to need in your business, and write down those costs. Because it's not just that you're not going to have the cost, you're going to have the cost and you're going to have to pay it. Whereas you may be with another company, the cap is higher and they're paying, you know, for their tools and things like that. So please look into that, because there's a lot of technology and tools that you need, on top of you're gonna have to pay all your real estate fees and things like that, your, you know, insurance. So please really get a spreadsheet, write down all these different fees, because like I said, that's like the #1 thing, getting on board. Or even for me too, coming from the investment side, I don't have all those fees on the investment side. So when I first came over as an agent, I was kind of like, what in the world is all this stuff with these fees? You know, there's a lot of fees to be a real estate agent. You don't just keep your entire commission check. There's a lot of fees. By the time you're done paying all these fees, you know, you're probably getting, you know, maybe really netting maybe 40-50% of your commission check. So that's what I'm saying. Really write down and know what you're getting into. Don't just say, oh my God, the cap is so humongous, I can't go with this company, and then you just jump and go with a company that says, oh, the cap is going to be $5,000, and then you don't get anything. So then you're still paying for everything out of your own pocket, and then by the time you look, you didn't really like save anything. So I'm just saying, please factor that in, and so that you can really make an apples to apples comparison when you go to pick and choose a brokerage. So now the other thing I wanted to mention, I know this video is long, but have some tea, child, have some tea, some coffee, and hang out. So the other thing I wanted to mention is, if you're like me and you are a real estate agent and an investor, that is your plan and that's what you're looking to do for both, please be mindful that one of the reasons like that I'm with Keller Williams is that Keller Williams is a very strong foundation brokerage that is very their foundation, I'm saying, is very entrepreneurial. And so is entrepreneurship and real estate investing. So for me, coming in like with wholesaling and things like that, I don't have to go into the brokerage and explain to anyone at a Keller Williams office what wholesaling is, because they know that. However, when you go to a lot of even top brokerages and you start talking about wholesaling, one, they're not going to know what you're talking about, and number two, a lot of brokers do not want you as a licensed agent to wholesale. So be mindful of that. It's not going to matter how much the cap and fees are, because to me it makes no sense to sign up under a broker that is not supportive of you being a real estate investor or trying to wholesale or fix and flip deals. You know, you want to choose a brokerage that matches, you know, that matches and is, you know, just some type of cohesiveness to what you're looking to accomplish and what the brokerage is looking to accomplish. I don't see any point. And some brokers, when you wholesale, you also still have to pay fees. Whereas with Keller Williams, when I wholesale a deal, I don't pay fees out of my wholesale fee. So for me, that was very important when I was looking for a brokerage. So that's why when I even had this conversation with my friend, I was saying, oh, I didn't even go and do 10 or 1,000 interviews, because there was most brokerages just, it doesn't match, you know, what I'm trying to do. So no sense me going there and interviewing, and I don't want to be with a brokerage where I'm explaining to them what wholesaling is, because I don't feel comfortable working in that space. You know, I always want to be in a space where people are, you know, smarter than me. I don't want to work somewhere where I'm trying to explain and tell the broker what I'm doing. So just be very mindful of that. If you're looking to do that, that you really bring that up in interviews, because I'm telling you, I get that a lot where people email me and they're like, oh, my broker said that I can't wholesale, or, you know, they're getting a lot of pushback from their broker. And I'm like, that's actually very normal. A lot of brokerages do not, they don't really know what wholesaling is. And if they do, they're not really supportive of an agent doing both. They just want you to do traditional real estate deals. So be mindful of that. So that's my tip. I know this video was long, but I gave you good content, and I'll see you next video. Take care. Bye bye.